Okay, in this video, what I'm going to do is to talk about bar plots using Matplotlib. I have imported Matplotlib and activated the Matplotlib inline functionality so that you can see the plots in the Jupyter notebook. And I have imported NumPy to make some NumPy arrays. I have defined three uh, arrays, one for the x variable and two arrays for two y variables. So the basic command is bar, and you have two required parameters. X is the x values. In our case, it's going to be x, and then the height, which is going to be y1. I'll use y1 for this case. And with that you can get a simple bar plot. And if you want to hide this text, you can add a semicolon, which will hide that text. Yeah, and then we have, by the way, if you don't you can also create this plot without specifying uh, the parameters, just by using x and y1 you'll get the same thing. But I try to always use the parameters, so it's more clear about what I'm doing. Okay. Yeah, so the optional parameters are width, with which you can change the width of these bars. Okay, it should not be a string. Yeah, and then you can change the color. I'll change it to basic blue, and you can add a label. I'll set it equal to blue, just to be simple. And yeah, so I think for most cases you are good with these parameters, right? And yeah, of course you can change the x label, y label, customize the location and the appearance of these tick marks and tick labels using the ways that I have described in my previous videos. And another optional parameter that I recently noticed is align, which allows you to change the positions of these tick marks with respect to the bars. So the default value is center. So what that does is it gives you this default behavior where you have your tick marks positioned at the center of each bar, right? And if you change it to edge, you will see that your tick marks will be aligned with the left edge of each bar, right? And if you want to align your tick marks with the right edge, all you have to do is to add a negative sign in front of the parameter for this width parameter, yeah, width attribute, so that you will get your tick marks aligned with the right edge of each bar. Okay, so yeah, those are the basic things. And what if we have two y variables that we want to plot on the same plot area? So what you do is you simply copy and paste your first command. I will, yeah, change this to my default non-sophisticated appearance, and for my second command I should change it to y2 because that's what I want to plot, and color would be red. Okay, when you execute this, yeah, you get two sets of bars, but this may not be what you expected, because you can see that the second set of bars have been plotted covering the first set of bars, which hides most of the information that we want to see. So there are two things that we can do to resolve this issue. One is to shift the second set of bars by a small amount. So since we have an numpy array, we can simply add some value, let's say 0.4, and if you execute this, you will see that your bars, the red bars, now have been shifted to the right by 0.4 with respect to the blue bars. So what I would usually do is, if I have a specific value for this width parameter, I would change the same value here, so that the two bars are positioned right next to each other, right, without any gap. But depending on your requirement, you might want to play with this value, so that you can have a small gap, right, which looks nice in some cases. Right. Now you might notice that your tick marks are not probably where you want them to be. So if I want to center them, I will have to use xtakes, and x. So the first parameter is for the location of the ticks, and I will use. Okay, I'll change this to 0.2 just to make things a little more convenient, and I will add 0.1, so the tick marks will be positioned at the very center between the two sets of bars. And you can change yeah, your tick labels would be x values, right? Yeah, so there you have it. They are positioned at the center. Right, and the other alternative is to stack the second set of bars on top of the first set of bars. To do that, you have the same x value, y value would be y2, width should be the same. I mean, you can change the width, but it won't look that nice. And color is red, blue, label is red. The only thing that you have to add here is this bottom parameter, right? And what we have to specify here is the variable, the magnitudes of the variable that are going to be plotted below the bars that are going to be plotted using this command, right? So what we will have at the bottom will be these y1 values, right? And we are going to have y2 values on top of y1 values. So what's going to be below y2 would be y1. So that's what you have to put. And if you execute it, you will see that your red bars have been plotted on top of the blue bars. And what else? Right, and what if we have two, like instead of two y values, three y values that we want to stack? So you do the same thing, but in this case, okay, I'll define my third y array. I'll just simply copy and paste that y2, and height would be y3, with same width, color is green, this should be green, and at the bottom you now have not just y1 but y1 plus y2. So that's so this should be the sum of the magnitudes of the two y variables that are going to be below the last y variable, which is going to be at the very top, right? So that's one of the reasons why I defined these variables as numpy arrays, so that you can add them conveniently. So if you plot them, yeah, one thing I noticed is that, okay, so that's why I don't want that now. Right, so I think yeah, that's basically it. And other optional things that you can do is you can add a pattern to each of these bars, And if you take a look at the documentation, you have different values that you can use for these patterns, slash o x and plus star. So if I use star here, you'll see that that pattern has been added. I'll change this width. I'll increase this width a little bit so that you can see it clearly. Yeah, and you can add alpha. Right. Yeah, and what else we can do? Yeah, so let's try another hatch here. Yeah, so these are the basic things. So just note that for my case I use the same x variable, but depending on your case you might have to work with a different x variable. So you'll have to change this x value as well, along with the y value, right? So I think that's all what I want to talk about using regarding the bar plots. So let me know if you have any questions and comments. Thank you.